Hey, this is the Antisocial Socialite back at it again. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel or you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for, darling? Hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, so when I get to running this mouth in this BITCH, sir, you are in the loop. You see the title, you know what time it is. This is not going to be a long video. Give yourself closure. You know, yesterday I was talking with a family member and we were talking about our parents, in particular the way we were raised by our mothers and some of the issues that we had. And we were talking a lot about how we felt maybe cheated or failed by them, and you know, the different things that the older generation of parents do and did that they could have just done a lot better. And I was telling this person about some of the things my mom said and did, and we talked about how, you know, the generation before had a certain attitudes that's not really conducive to now. Namely, two things: a lack of accountability. You know, it's like if the child is wayward, it's never their fault, it's always the child's fault, even though the child's behavior is a reflection to an extent of their parenting and the upbringing they've been provided. And the other thing is they're always the victim. You know, it's like I said, it's always the child doing something to them instead of them looking at what they could potentially not be doing right by the child. So as we began to share experiences, you know, and I told about, you know, the number of things that I've told my mother, this is what you said, this is what you did, this is where I feel like you failed, you know. And working with this lady that I work with who basically makes me regress back to childhood, because a lot of the issues and the behaviors that made me want to leave home at quite a young age, this woman exhibits. And I started to think, you know, is this just a black woman thing? You know, overbearing, micromanaging, you know, condescending, just sometimes too rough or too demanding. And it just got me thinking, when I look at my mother, I have a bond with her, but there's no attachment because I didn't grow up with her. You know, yes, from a biology standpoint, she's my mother, but we're not close, which is a shame. And after everything was said and done in the conversation, I just said to the person that for me to move forward, I had to accept that the apology that I felt like I was owed and the behaviors that I would have liked to see, I'm just not going to get. Therefore, I'm going to give myself closure and move on. You see, I suppose in some ways the fact that I didn't grow with my mother is a blessing, because I'm not as emotionally attached, that her failure to apologize or to try and right the wrong affects me. You know, I was talking with a lady just the other day. She's also quite a mature woman, maybe at least close to 60. And as she starts to tell me about how she has the feud with her siblings and there's favoritism and how she tries a lot to please her mother, and the mother seems to always just undermine everything she does, she was almost in tears. And I felt almost like I didn't know what to say for a start. I said, I can understand why you feel the way you do, because my mother's kind of the same. Although, you know, I lived with her for a number of years, she was always working or studying. So it was a combination of either tension or absence. Either she was not there, and when she was there, we were not even in the same room. I lived in my room, she lived in the lounge, or we were in the same, in proximity, close proximity to each other, but there was tension. There was no lovingness. There was no friendship. There was no relationship building. We didn't really do much together. And looking at these older women, one who's rough like my mother and one who's kind of in pieces, a bit like me at times, I just realized that, I mean, not just realized, because this is something that I discussed with my mother years ago. And when she failed to apologize for some of the ways in which she let me down, I just realized this woman doesn't have the capacity to give me what I think I'm owed. And constantly torturing myself, expecting her to apologize or to try and right the wrong is a futile task. It's only going to put me in a position where emotionally I'm dragging up the past, and I'm going to be like the woman who is crying to me, almost literal tears, about basically not being loved by her own mother, no matter how much she does. The guys who talk about leaving the community, I'm a a staunch let it burn type of person. It's not out of revenge. It's about self-preservation. Trying to get something out of somebody when they don't have the ability to give it to you is only going to make you miserable and frustrated. Now, I know a lot of people, they kind of poo-poo on the Bible, and I understand why. I actually have some of the similar frustrations in terms of the fact that the church has become overly feminized. It's very gynocentric. It's very overly emotional. It's more about emotion than it is about spirituality. There's more about feeling good rather than righteousness. So I get why a lot of people have issues with the modern day church. Obviously, a lot of the churches that stand up for the truth are becoming gradually more empty as people go to the wide path for the feel good. Okay? But the scripture talks about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about condoning bad behavior. Forgiveness is not about saying what you did was right or okay. Forgiveness is simply about saying, I'm going to let go and move on, and I free you from the responsibility of being able to, the responsibility of trying to make this thing right. I'm just going to pick up the pieces and move forward, because it's like I have friends and siblings and they say to me like, oh, such and such borrowed money from me and they didn't bring the money back and da da da. And I just gave everybody the same advice. Never give anyone money you cannot afford to miss. So don't give your rent money because they said, if you give me this money, I'll give it back to you in a week's time. Because if this person is already begging for money, then they probably won't give you back what they owe you. Then you are in a financial situation now having to ask for money because you gave away something you couldn't afford to give. So anytime people ask me for money, it's what I can afford and it's what I don't need back. And forgiveness is kind of the same. I'm giving it to you. I'm releasing it. I'm releasing you. You go your way. I'll go mine. We don't have to be in each other's pockets. We don't need to be in each other's space. We don't need to be buddy best pals. But I'm freeing you from the responsibility of making it right. Not because of you, but because that's what I need to move forward with my life. Okay? It's sad when you look at the people who you should be able to look up to and you realize they haven't got what it takes. And whether that's a child, whether that's a colleague, whether it's a friend, or your parents, it just has to be a realistic conversation with yourself. This person doesn't have it in them to give me what I need. I need to find another source to get my needs met. Whether that's me working on myself or going and looking for it through extended family or friends or whatever. Okay, so this video is just really encouraging people. It's sad that we have parents who fail us, and that is a video that I want to do in and of itself. But this video is specifically talking about accepting where our parents are or our friends, maybe it's kids, and working with them at the level they're at, keeping a safe distance. If you know they're narcissistic, if they have depression, if they have drink or drug problems, you cannot be around them too much because that's going to impact your physical, mental or financial health. And at the same time, in that reality, you move forward and give yourself the closure that you need. I hope this video has been helpful. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, comment, share and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.